Hello, my name is Todd Plymouth.
Hey.
And I'm going to be explaining to you about my game, Find All the Fossils. Now, this game is based on a student resource for the New York State Earth Science Regents exam. This is part of their reference tables. Students are able to use a 16-page reference table when they're taking the Regents exam. So these tables they will have with them, and I selected two tables. The first is the geologic history of New York State, and the second is the generalized bedrock geology of New York State. And my goal through this game is to teach them not just how to use them independently, but how to match the information from one table and place it into the other. Now, when students come in, they're going to be given a game sheet. So here's my rough game sheet called Find All the Fossils. It's going to be a worksheet. It's going to have their name, who their partner was, and a class period. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the class, I'm going to pair them up with a partner, generally a higher functioning student, a lower functioning student. I'm going to give them the story background. And, there's an emergency of some sort. A geologist needs to get all these fossils together to give a presentation. So they're going to send out, the students to go across New York State and find fossils from each time period in New York State. Let me pick this up so you can read it a little better. So in this page, it shows, sorry to shake a little, it shows the time, history from present back to 4.6 billion years ago, the origins of our solar system. Now the geologic periods don't start until the Cambrian about 500 million years ago. And as we go up, we're going forward into the present. Now this chart right here is the New York State rock record. Anywhere there's a solid line, there are bedrock in New York State that will have those fossils. As you can see, it's incomplete. There's some unconformities, but we have a good geologic history of New York State here. Now, what I want students to do is to get a fossil from each period that I've highlighted that we have a rock record in fossils for New York State. You can see from the Cambrian, the Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, there's the Triassic, and here we are today in the Quaternary. Now, this table shows not just that, but it has the actual fossils listed. So right next to Triassic, there's a letter O, and if we go down, we can see the fossil that they would find there. So what students are going to do in this game is I'm going to have, 15 pairs of students, and they're each going to have this worksheet. And me as the teacher, I'm going to be sitting at the front of the room, and I'm going to be organizing this. And we're going to have turns. Each turn is going to represent 100 miles of distance traveled. So what students are going to do is they're going to take this map of New York State. Now this map has different patterns. You can see here, I highlighted one, but it has different patterns for the bedrock. And each pattern represents a different geologic period. And there you see I highlighted for our first stop, the late Triassic. So what students are going to do is they're going to start at their school district, and this is great. You can do it anywhere in New York State, so a different school would have a different starting point. Here's where my school district is in Eastport South Manor, and it's the start/finish line. And what students are going to do is they are going to say, all right, we want to get this, let me scroll this down, we want to get the Triassic period out of the way, and we're going to collect our fossil. So they look down, and they say, here's the pattern for the Triassic period. They find that pattern on the reference tables, and they're going to draw a line from the starting point to that bedrock. Now, once they have that line measured, they need to calculate the distance. So what they would do is they take a piece of scrap paper, they would line it up, they calculate the distance using the key, right? And in this case, it's 67 miles. Oops, sorry about that. So what students would do is they would have their starting coordinates. This page also has latitude and longitude. It's a great review of that. I forgot to put that in my aims. I'll have to add that. So we're going to record their starting latitude and longitude. Then the distance traveled, the name of the fossil, the coleopsis, and the Triassic period. So it took them 67 miles. So students would say, Mr. Plymouth, we were able to get the coleopsis fossil during round 1. They would come up to the front of the room, and I'm going to have, little models of different, shells and little dinosaurs and woolly mammoths or mastodons, the different fossils they'd be collecting. And what they would do is they'd place those on their desk so the other groups could look around and have a little leaderboard to see who's winning. So if a student had to travel maybe 200 miles, they wouldn't be able to finish until round 2 and would have to wait. That's my game. I hope you enjoyed it.